Hello everyone. Today I'll be showing us how to use the area tool and the linear tool for our volumetric measurement. If you look at the linear tool and the area tool and every other tool that is here, attached to them are drop down arrow that you can use to access other tools for measurement. So once I click on this linear tool, you can access other options for measurements, and one of these options that we have here is our linear cubic meter and also our linear volume in cubic meter. These two options can actually be used for the same purpose. Also, using our area tool, once you click on drop down arrow, we have several options that are tied to this area measurement, and you can also use them for your measurements. So without wasting time, let me show us how to use the linear tool to be able to measure for anything that is related to cubic measurement. So once you want to use this linear tool to achieve that, you don't need to click on this icon, this threaded icon, or this icon that looks like a measured item of work. What you need to do is to click on the drop down arrow, because when you click on this icon, what you're going to see, or the window that is going to pop up, is the one that allows you to be able to take measurements for only linear linear item of works. Yes. And then if you are looking for anything that is related to cubic measurement, this very option won't give you that. So I will advise you always click on your drop down arrow just like this, and then select the one that best fits the type of measurement that you want to do. So in this case, I'll be selecting my linear cubic meter or my linear volume in cubic meters. So let me select the first one, which is my linear cubic meter. Once I click on that, I'm going to have a prompt or a window that is requesting that I type in the name of the item of work that I want to measure. For this webinar, I'll be using trench excavation for this very example. So I type in the name of this, that is my external trench excavation, just in short. All right. Then again, I have another option that is requesting me to type in the type of data or the data that I want to key in for the wall height. This wall height in this case is representing our depth of trench. All right. So you type in, for example, in this case, I'll be using 900 millimeters, and this value, this very value is in, or this very name, the wall height is in meters. So I'll have to be very observant of that before I type in the wrong value. And in this case, it's going to be 0.9 if my depth is 900. Another option here is my wall width. In this case, what I actually needed was my width of trench, and my width of trench, or my trench width, for me, I'll be using 225, assuming I'm using rough foundation. In this case, 225 rather, sorry. And then if I'm okay with this color, I click OK. But if I'm not, I can always select my most preferred color, and then in this case, I'll be using the red. I'm okay with this color, right? Yes. I click OK. I can now begin to select my point to be able to take off for my measurement. Right, so you can see that the color covers for this our wall. I can always zoom in a bit, and pan the document around to be able to have a clear view of the points that I want to click. And again, I've also shown you the option of using a shortcut keys like the M key can actually function as your magnifier, and you can always use that to see points clearly. And from this side, you can see, using this shortcut key M, I can see that this point is much more clearer, and I can always click on the right point. And then what I have left is my last point. and when I get to this place, I won't allow the measurement to get to this place because that will be over measurement. So I will click on this part of the trench. All right, and that has taken care of my trench excavation, external trench excavation. Once I'm done, I right click and stop, and you can see from my left hand side of the window that I already have my value to be 12.3. So I would advise you go on to try both the external trench excavation and the internal trench excavation. And then in some of these drawings, in some of these architectural drawings, you always see that some of the walls are not of the same, or the walls that you have in all of them will not be the same. You might begin to see wall of 150. For example, in this case, this is wall 225 and this is wall 150. So you should always be observant of that too, and pay very keen attention to all of these details so that you'll be able to do the right thing and achieve the right result. So that is how to use my linear tool for my volumetric measurement. Again, you can also hover around it or click on this point, click on each of this place, because it's just like a polygon. You can actually click on one point and then hover around it to see what you have actually measured. And in this case, you can see that when I hover around it, just like I did, you can see the name of what I've measured, the item of what I've measured to be external trench excavation, which happens to be, in linear meters to be 60.70. But in total, when it converts it into cubic meter using other parameters like my depth and my width, I will now have 12.3. So you can also confirm that using your calculator, and you see that you're going to have 12.3 cubic meter. So that is how to take care of cubic measurement using the linear tool. Another option that I want you to explore also is by right clicking on this option, and then you can show label. And once you click on this show label, you can always bring up this option of you have the option of seeing clearly whatever that you've measured, the name written boldly on it. And in this case is trench excavation, but my linear meter before it converted it to cubic meter. Another thing you can also do is to zoom out and then right click on the outside of your drawing, and once you right click, you can see the option of show legend. Once you click on this show legend, or we tick this option of show legend, you can see that whatever I've measured have brought down to this legend part of my drawing, and the external trench excavation is now 12.3 cubic meter. So there are several options, or vast number of options that you can always functions that you can always play around while working with this very software, because for me, I know this software is very flexible and can always give you that option of doing so many things at a time. So that is that for our external trench excavation. Then using our area tool, I want to take off for in this case I want to use, for example, my upper floors or the slab for this very example. So once I slide down the arrow, I'll always have this option, and in this case what I want to measure is my volume in cubic meter. So I select this option, and then it's asking me what are you measuring. In this case, what I want to measure is my upper floor. Type in the name, then the depth of what I want to measure. Remember, what I want to measure is my slab. So if from the back end I have changed this to be thickness, then it would have appeared to this place to be thickness. But because this is the default name that comes with this software, you can always make changes to all of these, and this is going to be part of our next webinar, where we're going to see how to use this advanced form to change all of these things. And any of these things that you don't want to see on your form, you can actually remove them and have your form to be more clearer and more customized to your taste. All right, so in this case, the depth or the thickness of my slab I want to take off for is 150. there is also asking me for the price per cubic meter. In this case, I don't need the price. You always need your price when you're doing estimation. You always need your markup, your overhead and profit, whatever you call it, if you are doing estimation. Then the cost type of the material, you don't need that also. And then the color, I think I'm okay with this yellow, so I will go ahead and then click OK. Then, but you can see that I still have my measured item of work for my trench, external trench excavation on. So you can always come to this left hand side of the window. You can see the bulb like icon. Once you click the bulb to be off, then it takes off that particular measurement to be able to give me a clearer view to what I want to measure. And then I will be able to now see clearer and then take off my measurement. So I will now start by clicking the first point, and once I click the second point, you will notice that there is this coverage that shows me that yes, what I'm actually measuring is you know, is from the tool, the area tool. So I keep on clicking until when I am, or when I've gotten to the last point, and then double click and stop. Then this side of my of my plan is actually straight, that I can actually click or double click on this very end, and then the software will take care of all the measurement that I need, or cover for every area that I need for this very volumetric measurement. I have the option of coming back to click on this point, or you can always double click and then you have every of this area covered. So in this case, I'll double click on this point, and then I have the value. Sorry, right click to stop first, and then I have my volume in cubic meter for that. Let's say in this case, what I'm measuring is my concrete, for this slab. So the volume becomes 32.8, and you can see that here. And then you can repeat the option just like we did before. You can always right click to show label, and then you can also click outside, right click and show all of these things, or right click and then show label, or take them off. So if I also click this my external trench excavation, you see that we now have two of these measurements on my legend. So that is how to use the area tool and the linear tool for our volumetric measurement. So you can always play around it and then see what you can achieve. I will advise you go ahead and measure both the trench excavation externally and the internal trench excavation, and see how you'll be able to use these two tools to achieve your result and have your output. Thank you.